Kate, to an article in the Sunday Express about social housing. What are they talking about here?
They're talking about the lack of it. And really, when we look at all those front pages today talking about the nuances of the coronation, we think about the real state of the nation. This is one of the most challenging sets of figures you'll read today. The fact that 9 out of 10 councils, local authorities fail to build properties that are required, that are needed for social housing. We know that when the Conservatives came in, there was a huge pledge to change this, of all this in 2019, and that's been certainly watered down over recent years. But we just have this ridiculous situation. We've got people that can't get on the property ladder. I think there needs to be huge reform when it comes to things like mortgages, people paying so much in rent they can't even begin to save deposits for housing. And then we've got people who are desperately trying to get into social housing, and we're not building any. So when Keir Starmer starts to talk about this is an area where we need reform, this is an area we need change, you can't help to think that that might be certainly pricking the ears of so many that will be looking to him to perhaps be our next leader for bringing the Labour Party in, if they're going to deliver on this. What I really worry about is every time we read these figures, behind them are millions of people in absolute misery who are in housing that's just not adequate or suitable, who cannot find a way forward or out of the situation they're in. And many, many of them actually earning enough to be able to buy a reasonable property, but just not being able to get there because the system financially will not permit them to do so, because the deposits required and the repayment required and the way they've got to meet the financial benchmark that's required. It's just an awful, abhorrent state of affairs.
Kate, what would you pin the reason why it's not happening down to one thing? I mean, to what extent is it the case that people generally might say, yeah, we need more housing, but they don't actually want it built in their area? Is that one of the problems, one of the ways that there's resistance, do you think, Kate?
It doesn't seem that it's just one thing at all. It's to do with multiple housing ownership. It's to do with the costs. It's to do with as you say, the land and sign off of the local councils, and not to bully the local councils as well, who've been through 3 years of just trying to do all they can to keep local place going, schools, etc., with dealing with everything from COVID onwards. So no, I think it is, as we say, that perfect storm of issues, but we need governments in place that are actually going to focus on this. You can't do much in life if you don't have solid foundations of at least a home to be able to set off from and try and build the life you want to build.
OK, yes, and lots of challenges, people renting as well and finding properties and prices going up. Lots of challenges around housing, aren't there?